We are creating an optical illusion collage today. So to begin, you are going to use a ruler on your black paper, and you're going to create some diagonal lines. I'm going to use a white colored pencil so you can see I'm starting at a corner of this paper, and I'm drawing a line diagonally that I'm going to have to move this ruler to make a nice straight line. So I've got a diagonal going here. I'm actually going to start backwards from where I ended with a diagonal line coming back the other way. This line actually that I just drew is pretty straight, but this line is diagonal, creating a nice triangle shape. I'm going to kind of go back and forth. It's okay if these lines and triangles are different widths. So right here, this one is pretty skinny compared to the one on the side. You are going to want at least 5 of these black triangle strips. Once you have your paper filled up with lines, you are going to try to cut as evenly as possible, thinking about craftsmanship. So no chopping cuts. We are working on nice, smooth sides. Do you see the difference when I cut that out, how jagged that got? It can be fixed, but if you take your time and cut nicely, you're going to save yourself time at the end by fixing them. So I went ahead and I had some cut out before. So at least 5. I think some of you might want as many as 8. At this point on my white paper, I'm going to create that focal point or vanishing point. I'm going to try to avoid the middle. I'm going to go somewhere around the edge of my paper. So I'm going to aim for this spot right here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to glue these black strips so that the dot of the triangle is on that point. You can tell I'm going to have some scraps on some sides. That's okay. This piece has a lot of scraps, so the edge doesn't really have a diagonal line, so I want to definitely avoid using that. So I'm going to add this one, starting with the point of that triangle on the dot, and you can really just use this as a pendulum and swing it to where you want it. I kind of like it on the corner right here. This project is going to involve some trimming because I've got a lot of black hanging off the edge. So I'm actually going to flip this over to trim the extra. When I flip it over, that makes it really nice and goes right to the edge. As you're gluing today, think about just a little bit all over that piece. We do not want gobs of glue seeping out the edge. So again, I'm headed for that point with the tip of that triangle, and I can swing this around and I can create some space between those black pieces, or I could have them closer together in some spots. I'm going to have to repeat flipping this over and trimming off that extra. Really make sure that you have a little bit of glue. Looks like I missed a little bit. I'm going to add a little glue on the back side of that. All right, if you look at that finished piece and count those black pieces, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So around 8 is a good number. If you have 7, that's okay. If you have 10, that's okay, but I would not have more than 10. So that black is creating the optical illusion that we're going back into space. To help that illusion, we're now going to add some circle shapes. Remember, things that are far away are tiny, and as they come out, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So with the scraps at your table and some of those circle tracers that we're sharing, you can begin tracing different size circles. Please don't put that tracer right in the middle of a scrap. If you bring it to the edge and trace it, that leaves more room for someone else or even for you to use. It's okay to have circles that are all the same color. It's okay to do a pattern of 2 colors, or if you just want to add a bunch of colors of circles, that works too. They have to be different sizes. Again, taking my time, doing really nice cutting. I cut some circles out before this video. 6 circles is about a good number. So between the black lines and the circles, I would say anywhere between 6 to 10 of each is a good number. If I were to collage this, the big circles are going out further in the paper. They could even go off the edge. If I wanted a circle in that spot, I would use a little bit of glue all over, no gobs or blobs. I might put it in that corner, and then just like I did with my black lines, I could flip it over and trim that extra. Remember, things that are close to us are bigger. So on my paper, this purple circle is very close to us. As we go back in space, they get tinier and tinier. I would play around with even overlapping some circles to show space. If we look at that finished piece one last time, you can see that they're spread out. They're not all in that same line, but there's some overlapping to help show that space. Small by the point, bigger on the sides. Today's project is all about craftsmanship, how neatly you're gluing, cutting, and collaging.